Welcome to Type Tune Tint. I'm Tom Kranz. To call today's guest unique is a gross oversimplification. She is a classically trained musician who decided the symphony wasn't for her. Let's listen to the song We're Still Here from her new album Desire Paths, and then we'll meet Erica Mulkey, otherwise known as Unwoman. And I'm joined right now by Erica Mulkey, whose professional name and on-stage presence is Unwoman. We're going to find out all about both those characters in just a moment. Erica joins us from her home/studio in the San Francisco Bay Area. Erica, I hope it's cooler where you are than it is here in New Jersey today.
It is not bad here. Yes, thank you.
Good. Yeah, as I said before, I only apparently do these when it's 90 degrees here in New Jersey. I first met Erica, or was exposed to her several episodes ago. I did an interview with Stephen Beale, who was with the Steampunk Explorer, and we did a whole piece on steampunk and what that is. And I'm not going to slow this down by getting into that whole description, folks. You either know what it is or you can look it up in 2 seconds. But Erica, as Unwoman, spent a lot of time performing at steampunk exhibitions, shows, conventions. That's kind of where Stephen discovered her and I through him, but I think she's kind of branched beyond that now. Erica's a musician. She makes her living as a musician. I was both shocked and joyed to find out that she doesn't have a day job anymore. She actually makes a living doing this. So we're going to find out all about that. Erica, tell us a little bit about where you came from and your background.
Sure thing. Yeah. Well, I have known I wanted to be a musician basically all my life. And for about 7 years, I had day jobs and I kept making music with the background of studying cello, composition, electronic music, production, piano, music theory, songwriting, all that stuff. And I had day jobs. I worked in publishing for a while, and then I was a ringtone producer. And during that time as a ringtone producer, I was playing shows as Unwoman, playing cello and singing. And I discovered the steampunk scene in 2009. And I started playing conventions. And at first I didn't get paid for them, but I would show up and I would just be really very game, and I would entertain people, and I sold tons of merch. And because I'd been producing my own albums for years before that, I had CDs to sell, already. And I realized this is actually kind of a viable business. Like I could be on the road a lot of the time. I could be recording and selling recordings on Bandcamp, doing Kickstarters. So I quit my day job in 2010. And for the first few years of that, I was playing conventions all over the country, at least two a month for those
Steampunk
years.
conventions.
Mostly steampunk conventions, some general sci-fi conventions, goth events once in a while. And, goth industrial music was like my background.
Hmm.
But because I played cello and I'm more kind of songwriting oriented rather than like loud guitars and doom and gloom oriented. So those were not really quite as much for me as steampunk. Steampunk was like the perfect little niche genre for me.
Okay, we're
And I
going to
kind
hold
of,
it right there. We need to go
yeah,
back on, and I need to ask you a couple things before I forget.
sure.
What I've never met a ringtone producer. I must know what that entails. What did you do?
That's a really good question. So nowadays, if you get a ringtone, it's just a segment of a song
Right.
because everybody's songs can play. We have good speakers. They have enough memory to like play a song for the ringtone. Between 2005 and like 2008, most people's phones had just these little tiny synths in them. So they would play a MIDI version of the hit song as the ringtone.
Hmm.
And my job, along with like five other people in the company, we would mix these MIDI versions of hit songs to sound really good on specific phones. And it's the job that literally only existed for 5 years in
So
this
this is a
entire world.
technical job. You're sitting there mixing audio essentially.
Yeah, and actually, I think it gave me really good audio production skills
Hmm.
because I had very limited choices, and I had to hear everything really clearly. This is tiny little speaker. It was actually really good engineering and mixing training, I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And okay, so and then you mentioned that you started playing instruments when you were, what did you say, 9 as a child?
9, yeah.
And were you actually interested in it, or did some parent push you towards the violin, or did you want to do that?
No, actually, my dad played violin just at home, and I always loved it since I was a
Hmm.
kid. And I started on violin, but it's a much harder instrument to start on because it's so screechy. And
I
I
played
had a
violin for 2 miserable years in like fourth and fifth grade, and I hated it. And then I moved to cello, and I didn't
okay.
have yeah. And then I stopped it in seventh grade because I was too cool and I wanted to play the drums. So anyway, continue. Yeah, I
Oh,
know it's terrible.
yeah, that's
I
a
know.
shame.
Yeah.
But drums are cool too. Yeah, I had a friend who played cello, and I was really jealous. And I got my parents to let me switch like halfway through fourth grade, and then I actually really was into it. And my parents did have to push me to actually practice. And this is still the way now. Like once I get started practicing, I love it. But to
Hmm.
get that like push to start practicing,
Yeah.
it's still a challenge. So my mom would like write notes from the cello, like, please play me. And then she'd give me a little like fun size Snickers to eat as a reward so that I'd like
Wow.
have to eat. But it worked. It was great.
So she support
And
you got support at home on for your
yes,
music. Oh, that's good.
yes. My parents really, both of them love music a lot and they knew that it was a huge, important thing for me and they were very supportive of it. I think my dad was surprised that I majored in music. But he was always really proud that I was actually making it work. So
Yeah, you sure did. And so you majored in music. What school did you go to?
UC Santa Cruz.
Okay. And while you were there, you talked about the cello. You kind of stayed with the cello as your primary instrument.
I did. I did not love the teacher there at the time. Sorry if you're listening to this. I can't imagine why she would be. But I had a teacher in Berkeley, Matthew Owens, who I would go see like once a month to still have lessons with him. I love the cello. I didn't love playing in orchestras.
Mm.
I wanted to write my own stuff. I was really doing experimental stuff in the music studio there. I was stretching the limits of like what I wanted to record and having so much fun with that and sometimes recording cello and sometimes recording voice. And I definitely stuck with cello, but I didn't really want to do like a classical. I didn't see myself having a classical future, more of a compositional, experimental future with it.
So you are, as a result, now you're a songwriter, very prolific songwriter, and you're a performer. And you play the cello. You actually play. The folks will see it in the video we're going to play. It's an electric cello, which is missing. It basically, it just looks like the neck, and then you're bowing, but it's missing the big bottom part that, in an acoustic cello. But I
Yeah.
mean, it's okay. I got used to it, but it sounds great. And you also, so you sing, you play that, and then you mix, you loop parts of the song, and then you overdub yourself, and suddenly it's like there's four people singing and five different instruments going on. Did
Yeah.
you're self-taught at all that, I'm guessing?
Oh yeah, definitely.
And
Yeah.
so did you ever regret not becoming like an orchestral person or playing with a symphony orchestra or anything like that?
Every once in a while, I think about joining one just for like, when my kid is grown, joining one for fun, a community orchestra,
Hmm,
and I might do that when I'm older. It was really, really fun playing my very favorite music. Playing in an orchestra was wonderful. But compare the amount of rehearsal and waiting for the French horns to be in tune and lugging my gear someplace and all that stuff versus, I set up my stuff. I learn how to play in tune myself for the most part. I move on to the next thing. It's like, it's many of the same rewards with a lot less fuss, basically.
sure. Yeah. And as we said before we started rolling, when you were doing the steampunk thing, and maybe even now, and we'll talk about post steampunk in a minute, but you are very self-contained. You come as you are like, it's you and your cello and whatever you're wearing. And I guess you have some kind of an amplifier or something, but it all fits into one small car, I'm guessing, and you can set it up in 10 minutes. And that's like a beautiful thing. I wish I could say that about the drums. My buddy Don, who's a drummer in Seattle, he's been playing. He's my age, and he's been playing since he was a kid. He's got the setup and the takedown down to a science. But you're still talking about all this shit that has to go into a car, has to come out, has to go in and come out again. So that's good. So the music you make, and I'm going to show a video shortly now, and it shows you doing your thing. The video that we're going to look at is called Forgotten Then Found, and it looks like you're doing it in a studio, but it's your home, right?
Yeah, it's actually right here. It's
Oh,
just
okay.
this
All
little
right.
wall right here with my little banner there and the
I
little
love it.
fancy fabric there. Yeah.
So you do everything right there in that room. You compose, you sing, you overdub, and then you make a video there. Wow.
Basically.
You never have to leave your house, basically, except maybe to see your kid once in a while, right?
I want to leave my house.
Okay, so we'll get to the video in a second. One of the reasons I was interested in interviewing you is because you have a new album that's coming out September 22nd, 2023, and this podcast will be out before that, but people may then watch it hopefully for years after that. That's why I gave the date. And that album is called Desire Paths. And this is what, like your ninth, 10th, 12th album, something like that?
This is my ninth original album, and I also have 7 complete covers albums.
Okay. Covers of other songs, you mean?
Covers of other people's songs, yeah.
Okay, got you. And so what's different, if anything, about Desire Paths versus the other stuff that you've done? Did you do anything different on this? Did you evolve in some way?
Oh yeah, definitely. I guess I feel like this to some degree with every album from the last few years, but I really feel like I've gotten everything to sound exactly how I want it to sound.
Hmm.
And I also feel like maybe for the last 2 albums, I've been really unafraid with my songwriting choices. Like, I'm going to do something weird here, and that's okay.
Hmm.
And I always did weird stuff, but I didn't have as much confidence about it before. So I guess I probably did the same stuff. I just feel better about it now.
That's good. Well, as you get older and do things longer, you tend to feel better about them, which is good. All right. So before we show the video, explain to us what we're going to be hearing. So we're going to be hearing several voices. We're going to be hearing several different layers of sound. And it's not like you're leaning over a console. You're looking at the camera the whole time. How do you do that?
Well, if you see in the lower left corner of the screen, you see my feet. And those are hitting the pedals that the first thing it does is it starts recording the loop. And then as soon as it stops, the loop starts playing back. And then each time I hit that pedal again, it chooses whether or not I'm overdubbing or just playing back. And then when I hit the other pedal, the one with the orange stripe on it, that just stops it. And then the previous pedal makes it go again. So it's just recording or it's not. And I don't for the most part, I can't remember if I even use a distortion pedal on that one or not. But
Hmm.
for the most part, I'm sorry, I haven't watched the video in a while. For the most part, I'm not changing the mix or anything. It's just a matter of how I'm playing,
Hmm.
when I'm singing into the microphone, how close the microphone is, how loud I'm singing. That's all, the mix is all just done by the amp. And I know what it's going to sound like because I've practiced it a lot. But
Sure.
yeah, it sounds a lot more complicated than it is because it's just adding or not adding, and then I'm playing over it or, not.
While you're playing, do you have to be aware of where the loop begins and ends, or is it a set amount of time so you don't have to worry about the length, or how do
So
you
so
how do you juggle that?
yeah, the exact length of the loop is controlled by the very first time I press the button and the very second time.
So you
And
have
so
to be
that's
aware of
always,
the beginning and the end of the phrase you're going to record while you're playing it, right?
well, sure, yeah, of course. And I have to keep the most critical, like, be on time is that very first loop.
Hmm.
And then after that, if I hear it well enough, it's just a question of like hearing it and being in tempo.
Got it. All right. So when we see this video, that's what's going on. And is that also what's going on all your albums, or do you do that in a more traditional mix format?
Yeah, the albums are completely different.
Okay.
I don't use a looper on the albums. I record my acoustic cello instead of the electric most of the time. One cool thing about the electric is that it has a fifth string, which is a low F string. So it's actually almost as low as bass. So every once in a while, I will record the electric cello just for a bass line. But almost all of the cello we hear on the recorded albums is my acoustic cello. And yeah, I record things traditionally. I will copy loops sometimes, but it's always recorded like I'm recording a bunch of different versions of that loop,
Got it.
and I pick the best ones, and I do a lot of hand editing for
Got it.
my actual recordings.
Wow. I just interviewed a friend of mine who I worked with at CBS, who his name is Chris Wall. He's a guitarist, but he does the same thing. He's a rock and roll kind of a grunge guitarist, but he does, I mean, he synthesizes all his instruments. He does draw. I mean, I can't believe it's him. And I've been around. I get tech, I really do. And I've made my little songs on GarageBand on my Mac. So I do kind of get it. But the level that you and he are at is mind-boggling to me because you have to hear it. It's like you have to have a vision before you go into it. Otherwise, it'll all suck, right? All right. So
Thank you.
without further ado, we're going to play the video version of Forgotten Then Found, recorded right there in your home studio. And this is a tune that's actually on the new album, correct?
That's right.
Good. And here you are, and you're in costume. Folks, pay attention to this electronic cello. And if you can see in the lower right or lower left of the screen, maybe you can catch the pedals happening. And if not, you'll at least hear it. So without further ado, here we go with Forgotten Then Found.
Could something be forgotten and then found again? Prized like a trophy on a shelf. Does beauty once it wanes ever bloom again? Will chaos ever learn to sort itself? It's creeping. It's creeping, it's creeping up on me. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing like sweetly, and you will be beloved. I was once as casual as anyone. Use your head, not in bed. You don't want it enough. Could someone be forgotten and then found again? It's creeping, it's creeping, it's creeping up on me. Even one is playing as I have been. It's growing, it's growing, it's growing around me. I have learned not to ask for too much because it burns to reach and never touch. I was forgotten, I would like to be found, even if it's only my own hand that pulls me out. I would like to be found, a place of distinction, been like a butterfly, 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 a place of distinction, pinned like a butterfly.
You kind of went from a solitary voice and a solitary cello line, and then the song kind of blossoms into this multi-layered thing that you're doing standing there in your freaking bedroom hitting some pedals. That's just mind-boggling to me. But you have it down. How long have you been doing it this way?
Oh, that's a really good question. For a long time, I actually played with backing tracks, and it was just me, a cello, and I didn't have the 5-string electric cello. I had a 4-string electric cello at the time, but it was just me, electric cello, and backing tracks. And I kind of got the sense that the audiences did not love the backing tracks. They would rather see other musicians on stage or something. And when I got this amp, it's a Roland AC33. I just went in and I said, what's the best amp for electric cello? And they said, it's this one. And it has a built-in looper. How great is that? And I was like, oh, looping music is boring. I hate that. I'll never use that. And then I figured out that you could just plug in these very simple little foot pedals. And I realized that a bunch of my songs would work with looping already. Even songs that have like different chords in the verse and chorus. There's a thing that I do in a few of my songs where the loop part is really simple. The loop part is just kind of 2 notes, but then there's 3 different sets of chords that can go over those. And so it can be very different. Anyway, I figured out all these ways to play songs. And now sometimes I write songs for looper, and those become the ones that like I play the most when I play live.
We'll be back in a minute after some shameless self-promotion.
Climate change and environmental apathy have taken their toll. Urgent action by the Planetary Commission is too little too late. By 2212, Earth is covered by toxic bogs, poisoned soil, water, and air. Enter Rick and Chen, environmental activists who know there's only one answer. Go back in time to the 21st century to stop the madness. To Chen, That includes murder. A decade later, citizens by the thousands flee the Earth for the moon colony called Daedalus Dome. But where there are humans, crime, drug abuse, and greed follow. Rick's own escape to the serenity of Dome life is interrupted by the call to action. Step up and help save the Earth again. Read Tom Kranz's 2-book series, Time Travel Rescue and Moon Rescue. Available in ebook, paperback, hardback, and audiobook. Time Travel Rescue and Moon Rescue, available on Amazon. Plan your escape today.
And I'm back with Erica Mulkey, whose alter ego, Unwoman, is the author, singer, songwriter, and musician on 9 full albums and several other albums of cover music. She's an accomplished musician, and she's making a living at it. Wow. All right, so now I'm looking at your albums, and I'm going to read off some of these names. Let's see. Loss and Comfort, Casualties, The Fires. My personal favorite, Music to Snuggle Your Old Lady to. What Trouble? Let's see. So is there a theme here? It looks like there's some dark themes and some bright themes, but does this go back to your days as a goth person, or are we talking about some background that we don't want to know about, or what?
I mean, I don't think there's I don't have like a troubled past necessarily, but my goal has always been to reach people who are depressed, because a thing that happens when I'm depressed is that songs reach me and they're like, you're not alone. And so that's a reason that there are a lot of dark themes, because if I'm just like, hey, sunshine and rainbows all the time, depressed people are going to be like, no, that's not the real world. Like, I don't want to hear it. And, I'm the opening song for Of My Own Space and Time, I'm Queen. It's like, I'm in the gutter with you, and we can open our eyes and look at the stars. So, it's always been important to me to acknowledge the sad stuff in life, the difficult stuff, conflict, despair. All these things are important to me. They're not like, I'm not dwelling in it exactly.
So they don't define you, but they're important.
No, yeah.
Gotcha.
They don't define me, but they're things that we have to contend with. And I think a large part of the society doesn't want to talk about it, and that makes it worse.
Yeah. Who is the audience for your music, do you think?
Intellectuals, introverts, people who were misunderstood by, mainstream society, people who listen to classical music but want something a little harder.
Who do you play for now, and where do you go, and what do you do in terms of live concerts? Are you still doing live?
There's actually 2 local steampunk events I'm playing next spring.
Okay.
There's one.
So
in
you're
the
still
North Bay.
involved with that population.
Yeah, there's one in the North Bay, and there's one I do every single year, which is called Clockwork Alchemy.
Oh,
and
sure.
I think I've done 10 of those already, and it just keeps going. And it's smaller now. The people who were just into steampunk because it was cool at the time, like, they're kind of gone. And it's the people who are like truly, truly love it who are still there, and I still love it, so that works for me. But yeah, I don't focus on playing live as much anymore. I play private events. I don't do wedding ceremonies because I messed up 2 processionals, and it was like the worst moments of my entire life. Because
Really?
the loop went wrong, and it's like the pressure is so high. If it's just me on stage for a whole bunch of people, I'm like, yeah, it's cool, I got it. If it's someone's like magical moment, I'm like, ah. So anyway, I don't do that, but I do birthday parties and and occasionally corporate events for like interesting companies, stuff like that. And I am doing, of course, a release party for this album. I'm going to be playing live. So it is at a place called Spire Church in Oakland. And they recently bought this Victorian church, and they found out through zoning that it has to stay a church. So it's a church that worships subcultural arts and creative expression. So I will be leading, the ceremony for that. It's Thursday, September 21st, And it's also a birthday party for me because I'm turning 43 in the following Tuesday. But I'll
Ah,
be playing 2 sets of live looping electric cello, and uh, hopefully everybody has a really good time.
sweet.
It's going to be kind of like the video that people saw. It's just that, and but a wide variety of songs.
Got it. So I can't leave without acknowledging some of the clothes you wear in some of your photo shoots. You've got really cool costumes. You have
Thank
some
you.
fairly revealing costumes. I'm not complaining. I'm simply making note because you take a good picture, as we used to say in the TV game. The camera likes you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. So, is that part of the music? Is that a choice that has to do with that, or is that just because? Just because?
When I was first starting in music, I was really wary of being told how to look,
Mm,
being told I had to show skin, all this stuff, because I was a woman in my 20s, and I was like, I'm not going to be objectified and blah 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 blah. And I very much value and respect that feeling that I had at the time. I
mhm.
think it was appropriate. Now that I'm in middle age, I'm like, I'm not going to be hot forever. I want to enjoy it, and I don't mind showing it off. And especially since I feel more and more in control of my image. I don't feel like people are going to look at me and be like, well, because she's showing skin, I'm entitled to her time. And if they do, like, that's a them problem. It's not my problem. And so I feel totally comfortable showing skin now in a way that
Okay.
I didn't 20 years ago.
So you've actually been doing this 20 some years now, right?
That's right.
Damn. Well, that's really great. I mean, that's awesome. You really made this into like it's your life, right? It's
Yeah.
not even just a career, really. It's like this is one of those things where when people say if you love what you do, you never work a single day in your life. That sounds like you. All right. So we're gonna go out with let's see, what are we playing? We're going to go out with Fountains in the Desert, right? This is also from Desire Paths. And I like this song. I thought this was a good way to end it. Again, it shows your diversity, your the way you just kind of do it all there. And this also you recorded right there in your studio, correct?
That's right.
Wowie. Well, Erica, I really appreciate you joining me, and I wish you nothing but continued success. Thank you for allowing me to download the album. I've listened to all of it, and I think you're really an amazing, fascinating person.
Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate you joining me. And folks, you're looking for Unwoman, and it's unwoman.com on the website. Really, the website's a good place to start. It really has everything. But you also have a Patreon account, right? Do you know what that URL is off the top of your
It's
head?
just, yeah, it's patreon.com/unwoman.
Okay.
And
And
that's a
social
good,
media as well?
it just look for Unwoman most places.
Erica Mulkey /Unwoman. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Did I ask for diamonds? I'm just looking for a new
Hi, folks. Tom Krantz here. I appreciate you tuning in to my podcast, Type Tune Tint, and I especially appreciate those of you who have subscribed. I started this subscriber thing in July of 2024, really just as a way of recouping a little bit of the costs of doing this podcast. There's website hosting and there's WordPress additions, and occasionally I buy a book so that I can actually know what I'm talking about when I interview an author. You can subscribe to this podcast for as little as $3 a month. Comes off your credit card automatically. And for $3 a month, you get the satisfaction of knowing that you're helping keep this podcast going. I'm in my 5th year now, but also I will occasionally offer exclusive content just for subscribers. So give it a shot. I appreciate you taking the plunge. You can unsubscribe anytime you want. If you have any questions or comments, of course, you know how to get in touch. So please subscribe, and I appreciate it. Thanks.